All right, hey guys, I'm Tom the Tech Chap. This is the Steve Jobs Theatre, and behind those millions of people there are the new iPhone 14s. Let's go take a look. So we have 4 new iPhones. We've got the 14, the 14 Plus, the 14 Pro, and the 14 Pro Max. So what's new? Are they any good? And if you are tempted to upgrade, what should you go for? Well, before we dive in, there's 5 things you need to know straight away. Number 1, there is no new iPhone mini, which is a shame, but we do have the new 14 Plus, which I think is going to be incredibly popular. Number 2, prices have stayed the same, which is great. Number 3, we have 2 brand new safety features, car crash mode, and we also have the new emergency SOS feature. So if you're off-grid, hiking, and you haven't got a normal cell signal, hopefully you never have to use it, but it's a pretty cool feature, although right now it is only in the US and Canada. Number 4, and this is important, there are new colors, and I think this new midnight black or maybe the purple are my favorite. And actually it's just called purple on the regular 14s, but deep purple on the 14 Pro. And finally, number 5, before you head over to the Apple website and start furiously placing your order to get an iPhone on launch day, hold up, because there are some big differences between the regular 14s and the Pros, more than there have been in a long time. So make sure you're getting the right one. So let's start with the flagships, the 14 Pro and the Pro Max. These get all the new bells and whistles. Now, the very first thing you'll notice is this, the dynamic island. It's essentially a pill-shaped cutout. So obviously it hides the selfie camera and the Face ID sensor, but it also acts as a sort of secondary notification window. And the dynamic island is always on top of whatever app you're using. So it's basically a whole new way of interacting with notifications. I really like it. They've taken what was a bit of an ugly cutout and made it functional. Now, the Pros come in 4 colors. We have the new space black, silver, gold, and deep purple, which I think may be my favorite. Design-wise, it is very similar to before. Really, it is that dynamic island that makes it stand out. Although on closer inspection, you'll notice that the bezels are a little bit thinner, which is always appreciated. As for the screens, we have the usual 6.1 and 6.7 inch options for the Pro and the Pro Max, although now brightness tops out at a whopping 2,000 nits if you're using it outdoors. The Pro series also gets this new always on display, which you can customize. Also, the ProMotion adaptive refresh is, well, more adaptive now. It can go from 1 to 120 Hz, which should give a little boost to efficiency and perhaps save some battery. Now on the inside, we have Apple's new A16 Bionic processor, which is built on a new smaller 4nm architecture, down from 5nm on the A15. And according to Apple, and I think it's probably true, this is the fastest chip ever in a phone. But all this isn't just about higher frame rates in games and speeding up your renders in Premiere Rush or iMovie. The new chip also improves the ISP, the image signal processor. And actually, I reckon this is by far the biggest upgrade on the new iPhones. It's a similar looking triple lens setup, but now we're getting a 48 megapixel main camera, up from 12 last year. And it's a quad pixel sensor. So essentially they're using pixel binning, 4 into 1, which should improve detail and reduce noise. We also have a new 12 megapixel ultra wide, which of course doubles as the macro camera, which has been improved as well. And finally, we have the 12 megapixel telephoto. And actually one of the big upgrades here is that we have a much wider f1.78 aperture versus 2.8 last year, so it should let a lot more light in. But also, look at this, we have a new zoom option. So the 14 Pros get the 0.5 times ultra wide, the 1 times main, but now we have a 2 and a 3 times telephoto zoom, which is definitely a welcome upgrade. It gives you a slightly different focal length for your photos and your portraits. I must admit, I wouldn't have minded a longer, maybe 5-10 times telephoto zoom. Also, the True Tone flash is now 2 times brighter, and they've improved the flash uniformity. So we have some big upgrades to the camera hardware, but that's only half the story, because we also have this new technology called photonic, which is essentially their new version of the deep fusion technology, which takes multiple photos and does some magic and makes them better. And actually, Apple are saying that we're going to get between 2 and 3 times better images from all cameras. This applies to all the cameras versus last year, and particularly in low light. Now, it is a bit hard to quantify what a 3 times better low light photo means. We're going to have to put all this to the test when I get them back in the studio and do some proper camera comparisons. But the claims they're making, the new hardware with this new software, it could be one of the biggest iPhone camera upgrades we've seen in a long time. But hey, it's not all about the rear cameras. Unlike the iPhone 13 series, which kind of forgot about the true depth front selfie camera, we've had a pretty big upgrade here. Not only do we have a much wider aperture, but it also now supports autofocus for the first time on an iPhone. And it benefits from all that photonic magic behind the scenes. Switching over to video, and I'm really pleased to see that cinematic mode is now supported at both 4K 24 FPS and 4K 30. But we also now get action mode, which is essentially a ultra steady It does drop the resolution from 4K down to 2.8K, but then if you're running or filming maybe during an earthquake or something, then you're going to get much smoother footage. One area we didn't hear much about is battery life. They kind of skipped over it. They just said all-day battery. But it seems there aren't any improvements to the battery on the 14 Pro or Pro Max, which is a bit of a shame, but then again, the Pro Max is still like the king of battery life anyway. So that's the Pro and the Pro Max, but what about the regular 14s? Is it worth saving a few £100 or dollars and getting those instead? So the 14 starts at $799, same as last year, and the 14 Plus is $899, which gets you that bigger display and the much better battery life. So it's $100 more for that. So like the Pro series, we're looking at a 6.1 and 6.7 inch display, and the 14s come in 5 colors. We have Midnight, Starlight, Blue, Purple, and Product Red. Now, to be honest, you'd have a hard time telling these apart from last year's 13 series. We've still got the dual lens setup on the back, we've still got that quite hefty notch, although we do benefit from the slightly thinner bezels, which the Pro also gets. Brightness tops out at 1200 nits, so not quite as bright as the Pro series, and also it's still stuck at 60 Hz. There is no Pro motion with the regular 14 phones, which is a bit disappointing for a 2022 new iPhone. They also miss out on the new A16, so instead we get last year's A15 Bionic, although they do get the slightly beefier version which was previously exclusive on the 13 Pros, which come with 5 GPU cores, so graphics performance should be about 18% faster than the 13 series. They have also tweaked the chip a little bit, including a new custom ISP, so the 14s do get some of the new camera features. So let's talk about this camera, and we get a new 12 megapixel main camera, not the 48 megapixel of the Pros, but Apple still say this is a new sensor, which is bigger. We get larger 1.4 micron pixels, a faster 1.5 aperture, so again that lets more light in, and they're saying we're looking at up to 50% of improved low light performance, and also 2 times faster night mode exposure, so hopefully fewer blurry shots at night. Not much seems to have changed with the ultra-wide camera, but we do get the new true depth selfie camera with that wider f1.9 aperture and autofocus. So still no telephoto lens on the regular 14s, and as I say, the ultra-wide camera from a hardware perspective doesn't seem to be that different, but all the lenses, the 2 on the back and the front camera, benefit from that photonic software upgrade, that sort of new deep fusion. Surprisingly, that's not just exclusive to the Pros, all iPhones get this new tech. The 14s also get cinematic mode, also up to 4K 24 and 4K 30, and they get the new action mode as well, and also that brighter true tone flash. I must admit, one thing that did take me off guard is that the regular 14s no longer have a physical SIM card tray, or at least in the US. It's kind of crazy, they're relying entirely on eSIMs in the US going forward with the 14s. Not really a big deal. If you do have a physical SIM, you can get that transferred easily, and presumably it frees up some space because they no longer need that SIM card tray in the phone. So my first impressions overall. I would have liked to have seen a longer telephoto zoom, not just a new 2x option, and also the fact that we are still stuck with 60 Hz on the regular 14s is a bit of a shame. But other than that, I'm actually really impressed so far. Same prices, the 14 Plus is very exciting, and I can't wait to test those cameras. The new hardware, the new software with the photonic tech, magic, whatever it is going on behind the scenes. Trust me, there's gonna be some camera comparisons on the way. So if you did enjoy this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button below. Full unboxings and reviews and comparisons are coming soon. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you next time right here on the Tech Chat.